Hello and welcome to today's Post LiveWorks virtual event as an extension of yesterday's LiveWorks all-day event. Today's topic is going to be PTC's warehouse management systems for now and in the future. And as you can see, we have a number of presenters today, and we will be taking questions throughout the entire presentation. So feel free to enter them at any time. You can enter them in the Q&A box. Sometimes people use the chat box, but rest assured we will get to your questions. Also, this event is being recorded, and I will be posting it on YouTube probably early next week, and I will be sending out a notification once it's available. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and go over the topic agenda. So if you want to go ahead and change slides, Joe. So as you can see, we have a packed agenda today. We're going to be talking about the vision of the next-gen WMS, so that's Warehouse Management Systems for short. Also, we'll be talking about PTC's innovation that solves warehouse challenges, leveraging IoT and remotely managing distribution centers, robotics, automation, and hands-free picking, and also the COVID-19 success stories that we've had here with our management system. As you know, this crisis has been impacting a lot of different industries, in particular the warehouse management industry has been very, very affected by this. So with that said, Joe, do you want to go ahead and take it away and get started here?
Yeah, great. Melissa, you can hear me okay?
I sure can.
Okay, thanks. Welcome, everybody. We're thrilled to have you here with us today as an extension from yesterday's LiveWorks event, where many of you we know participated along with 15,000 of our closest friends. You know, I'm hopeful that you got some good value out of the sessions yesterday. Really, my role here today is to just connect the vision that Jim talked about, Jim Heppelman, the CEO, in his opening session, the general session yesterday in the morning, where he painted a good picture of how businesses are thriving and have the opportunity to thrive in a very difficult environment, and how our current COVID environment is going to now transform and accelerate the transformation of most of our businesses into the future, not just for now while we're going through this pandemic today. You know, that kind of talks about Jim's vision for the next generation of technology in the business world and how we all have to work in the world. And then I'm going to turn it over to Tammy and Hassan. Well, they'll talk about how the PTC Move product, which is our warehouse management system, and how it is taking advantage of those new technologies to really be the next generation WMS. You know, yesterday, I hope you participated in the 8 o'clock opening session from Jim. He was not sitting at his desk, as this picture depicts. Melissa thought it would be good to have a picture of Jim rather than me find a clip from his talk yesterday in the video. But this is how Jim looks normally when he's not in his house, when he was presenting yesterday from his home. But what he did talk about was he talked about the 4 essential skills required for a business to thrive, not just get through the pandemic, not just survive, but actually thrive and be successful during this difficult time. And he talked about how the workforce has to be really mobile. He talked about the requirement for our supply chains, for us to have flexibility and innovation in how we work with the supply chain. He talked about how the frontline workforce, not just those of us that work in an office environment, but he talked about people who are on the front lines, in a manufacturing floor, in a distribution center, out, you know, doing cable on the side of the road. You know, people who work in a hospital or, you know, out in, you know, a fire department. People are not necessarily behind a desk like many of us are, but there's a whole part of our workforce that has to be connected and collaborative, just like we have to. And he talked about the new ways that we have to be collaborative that will change forever now. And then he ended with talking about the remote monitoring of products, people, factories. For those of us here on this call, we'll have a particular interest in distribution centers, warehouses, but remotely monitoring them as a necessity to be thriving in this kind of an environment when people are working more remotely. And although at some point we'll go back to some non-remote working, it's never going to go back to the way it was. Even Jim has made comments that at PTC, we're going to alter forever our work from home policies. It's not going to be everybody will come back in the office in Boston, at the end of June. There will be a change in the way that all works going forward. So we have to adapt the way we're working and monitoring things remotely. And for today, we're going to focus on the product that is tied to remote monitoring. When he talked about this area and this skill for thriving companies, what he talked about was the reason why companies thrive in this environment is that they're able to take advantage of these new skills and these new technologies and these new capabilities. Despite where there's work from home orders, there are still some countries where there are still work from home orders. We still have some states in the U.S. where there's very limited not work from home opportunities. Travel bans or people who can't travel anywhere. There's very little travel internationally. Even domestically, there's very little travel still. And travel bans will likely be on and off and on in various geographies. Some geographies are still under quarantine, and some are not. Some demographics and classes of people or classes of health or aged people in some nursing homes and assisted living facilities have some quarantine still going on. And then as a result, we have limited people who are physically in a site. So if you have a distribution center or a warehouse environment, now all of a sudden you had 4 people on a line on a conveyor belt, and now there are 2? Something drastic has to change to be able to thrive in that environment. And that's what we're hoping to talk to you a little bit about today with the Move product that we're excited about. Jim also talked about IoT-enabled remote monitoring and remote services. And that's kind of like taking, our ThingWorks platform from PTC, and Hassan is going to show you how we're leveraging the IoT capabilities in mashups and dashboards with Move to help you in your environment. But you can take it another step and create a remote services environment. And that then creates a massive amount of labor savings, travel costs that open up a whole new world for you once you connect your products or your machines or your conveyor belts to the same technology that you're using to operate the business. Yesterday, he cited 2 companies as examples of taking advantage of this technology, companies that are thriving right now in this environment. One is Electa, I think it's out of Switzerland, and basically this company is if you think of radiation therapy, radiation surgery for cancer patients, it's a very medically critically important services that they're providing in the health industry. You can imagine when there's unexpected downtime in equipment or because of staffing, that it creates all kinds of scheduling nightmares. And as a result, they've implemented the concept we're talking about today, and they've reduced changing parts out when they had a problem from 60 hours to 15 hours. Whether it's your 60 hours for you or 10 hours, the point is it's 75% improvement in time of changing parts out. And as a result, they're servicing their equipment 50% remotely now versus not 100%, but almost 100% on site. And so, maybe most of us are not, in the saving life business, but most of us have a critical business operation to get products in the door, get them sorted, picked, packed, shipped back out, and we have all the same constraints created because of the COVID environment of lack of staffing and issues with equipment that we don't know when it's going to go down and when it can come back up. So connecting them can make a huge difference for us in our environment today. The second example he gave us was AutoLive. AutoLive is a company that makes airbags in the steering wheels, particularly. most of them are made by an OEM. And they use IoT and AI to eliminate the manual process. You can see, hopefully, on the slide here, right under the word LiveWorks, you can't see it great, but it's a long screen that they have. They have a display set up on the factory floor. And instead of having manual written whiteboards or chalkboards or, big long sheets of poster paper with updates of what's going on in the factory, they have it from the same concept that Hassan is going to share with you that we built for the distribution center and the warehouse floor. So you're going to see some of how we're applying the same basic technology to the industry we're talking about today. And he talked about how this real-time visibility into the operations out on the floor creates improvements in OEE and also in, as a result, analytics-based workforce planning. Look, let's face it, if the equipment is not working properly, if your OEE is not optimized, then you're not making money, and we know that. So that's a critical improvement that we all need to realize in our industry. But the second thing that's equally important is analytically looking at the workforce, because with the ThingWorks or the IoT component plugged into your operations, now all of a sudden you have real-time visibility to how effective a process is, how effective the workforce is. Do you have the right people, or does some people need more training? You'll be able to see those things. And if you extended it to one more level, the second part that Jim talked about yesterday, the remote service components that we can happily build for you to add on to this. You now have your equipment connected as well as the operations connected. And when you do that, now you don't have to worry about, you can have unexpected downtime on the equipment as well. So what they've done is they've used a hybrid model. They put their on-premise analytics of their machines, and then they have a cloud solution for the cross-site analytics and visibility. In other words, to make it visible in real time remotely, whether you're standing on the floor in the distribution center, whether you're in the office behind the distribution center, whether you're in Dallas, Texas in an office, as in your distribution center is in Boston, it's all made immediately available, using that hybrid model. And as a result, they've had tremendous savings, and you can see those here. So really, just wanted to reconnect you to what kind of the concepts Jim talked about yesterday, and what kinds of new types of skills and technologies are driving success. They're driving a thriving, successful business for many of our PTC customers. And so we're hoping to share a little bit of that with you with the Move product in WebShip as well. But it's fundamentally the warehouse management system with your operations and your business that you're functioning. So if you have questions throughout this, please, as Melissa pointed out, don't hesitate to ask. I'm going to turn it over to Tammy Mathis. Is going to now talk to you a little bit about our vision of the next generation WMS. Tammy?
Thanks, Joe. So on this slide, there are a number of considerations that companies should look at when evaluating a warehouse management solution. You want to look at how long the solution has been around and how experienced the development and your support team are going to be, where they're going to be, because they're going to be assisting your company through the years. PTC Move was developed in 1994, and our team has over 20 plus years experience. Our vision is providing your company with a smart, connected warehouse management solution and offering world-class core functionality. I've referenced on here some of the industries that are using our solution today. They're automotive, retail, medical, as well as the others that are listed here. Next slide, please. Okay. So PTC Move provides end-to-end warehouse execution. Our core functionality at a glance includes managing inbound operations, such as receiving the product, and putting it away. It also manages your outbound operations, where you may receive the orders from your ERP package, allocating the inventory release the picking path to the floor, and loading and shipping. We do provide inventory control, so you're able to manage your attributes, your cycle accounts, and any discrepancies you may have. Some of you may encounter customer returns, so we do offer reverse logistics. And lastly, automation. You may want to add integrations to your solution, such as robotics, carousels, conveyors, and others, throughout your warehouse control system or your warehouse execution system. Now I'm going to pass the rest over to Hassan, who's going to go in further detail on the Move product.
Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? So, what are today's business challenges? And believe it or not, even in today's era, today's time, it's still inventory accuracy and shipment efficiency is number one. We need to look at it. Why is it making an impact? Think about it. If your ERP system always manages the inventory at perpetual level, who's feeding the information? Your WMS system. So if your WMS has a discrepancy between physical inventory and virtual inventory, it's going to send the wrong information to your ERP system. What are the drawbacks? ERP might think you can fulfill an order, download the order to you, but physically you cannot do it. So bottom line, you're going to miss your SLA, and you're probably going to have a unhappy customer. Now the second one is your ERP might think you don't have enough inventory. Send the PO to your supplier to buy more items to satisfy the demand, but you already have the inventory physically sitting in your facility. So it's a cost amplification there. So as you can see, inventory accuracy and shipment efficiency goes hand to hand to make sure you have a solid SLA delivery as well as happy customers. Space constraints. Every physical facility, large or small, you have some constraints. Your WMS needs to be able to calculate the put-away location during your inbound process. It has to be able to match, see if whatever item you're receiving physically can fit in a location that same SKU exists or not, or send it to another location. So all these space constraints, all that, they come one after another. Real-time visibility. Maybe you have a multi-DC functionality. You have several distribution centers, fulfillment centers, and the order comes down. But at higher level, you want to see what facility has more inventory or can easily satisfy the order versus the one that doesn't have enough. So that gives you a capability to see what facility you want to send your orders to. Operation, you might start today with the simple, let's say you're starting e-commerce business, pick, pack, ship. Tomorrow you're expanding, you're opening your own stores, your own branches. Now you're not going to send cases into the store or branch. You want to build a pallet and send it to them. So you need to be able to change that. Or maybe you're expanding your facility. You're adding more aisles, more shelves. Now, you don't, maybe today, the person can pick up the item from receiving lane to the end of the warehouse. But tomorrow, as you add more shelves or expand your warehouse, you don't want him to go back and forth between, receiving lane to the end lane. You might want to drop it in the middle and someone else pick it up and drop it at the final destination location. Now, all these changes come, you need to verify it, and then you need to deploy it. Most of this WMS provider, with all these changes, gives you an executable, which Now, not only you have to verify your function that you're trying to add, you got to make sure everything else is intact. So, because when you deploy it in production, you don't want to have a problem because of something else. Now, going through all this UAT, then you have to bring in your resources from your operation to verify all the operation before your deployment. Just adding time and a cost. And for you to deploy an executable, you need to bring the system down, deploy the new executable, and bring the system up. So it just adds complications. Now, how do we overcome in RW on the solution? And as Joe mentioned, ours is not a product. We provided a solution. Inventory accuracy. In Move, we keep inventory down to the bin location. And we keep track of who picked up the inventory, from what location, onto what equipment, and when he dropped it into the location. So for an example, when the Joe Blow goes to pick up an item from a location, we log a time and transaction that he picked up this item into his equipment. And when he drops it into the packing station, we log that transaction. So we exactly know at what time, what was picked, who picked it, and when he dropped it. Shipment efficiency. It's not a guesswork when you're using Move WMS. It directs the user to go to the specific location, pick a specific item, and then take it to the next station. Everything is controlled by the system. There is no guesswork. No paper list that he needs to go and figure it out. All is driven throughout the system. So end result is you're shipping the right product for the first time to your customer. Quote unquote, you're going to have a happy customer. Process flow. We have a Move engine which allows you easily to reconfigure your process to go from pick ship e-commerce business to pick pack consolidate or pick load ship. All that is just a configuration. For you to verify that in your UAT system, it's simple. You're only going to verify that one process. You don't worry about your other processes. You're not going to worry about your replenishment, your consolidation, your cycle counts. Only that one picking process. And deployment, it's just deploying some script. You don't have to bring down the system. You don't have to stop everybody. Maybe during lunch break, you can just deploy it, and voila, everything is up and running. I want to emphasize a little bit about this flexibility and expandability or Move engine. Data in, function out. The engine determines what process you are in now, and what's your next process based on your configuration. Again, just rephrasing, easy configuration, pass UAT QA, and no downtime. Any questions before I go forward? Melissa, do we have any questions?
Yeah, we did have one question that came in. So it says, one of the slides showed easy deployment without downtime. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. When we say easy deployment or easy configuration, we have this concept of process, method, and rules. Rules are a bunch of SQL statements. You combine them together, and you make a method. For an example, let's say you are in you have a sales going on, and now you want to go pick an item with least amount of pick. If you have the same SKUs, you're sitting in two different locations, but for you to fulfill the order line, you need to unjump two picks, versus maybe you have a full case. You just want to pick it from there with one pick. You can make it least amount of pick, means it's going to go through that case and pick the quantity versus going to two different locations. Speeds up your process. Now your sale is over, right? You want to go do cleanup. You can switch the method first to do pick to clean. So instead of picking one item from one location, I'm going to go try to satisfy the order from two different locations, clean up my location so I have more available space. Anything else? That was it, right?
That was the only one at this time, yes.
I'm just going to touch little base here, take a little time to talk about warehouse logistics. The warehouse evolution, it was going on at a slow pace past several past decades. Versus really last 3-4 years. If you think about it, we started with paper ticket, and then other devices came in, and then evolution went on. But last 3 years, it was like moving very fast. That's what we talked about. There were some manual processes. You print a pick list, give it to the user. He goes and picks it up, comes back, updates the system. Very paper-based, unable to really, you won't be able to have an actual physical inventory management there. Then other devices came in, pick-to-light came in, everything came in. So it improved that, but you didn't have a really good visibility of your operation. Nothing was there to trigger you except you had to go, as Joe mentioned with the gym talk yesterday, some paperwork, whiteboard, some on the wall, somebody writing, somebody updating how many tasks got completed, how many is pending, what about high priority. And for you to go see it, you had to walk into your facility to see it. It wasn't something that you could just at the fingertip to see what's going on in your facility. Now, here comes the future of the WMS. You guys saw this picture before too. And I'm going to really, something that stuck with me, Jim said last year, Jim Heppelman, the CEO of the PTC, harnessing new technology for industrial innovation. It was a truly innovation. What we got here, his vision, it made us where we are today. And if you think about it, he kind of mentioned it yesterday, Jim mentioned yesterday, life in new era. 6 months ago, we didn't think about work from home. We didn't think about remotely monitoring. But his vision and the innovations may help us to easily transition into the digital platform. To show you a sample of what we're taking advantage of Teamwork Mashup to show you the process. This is a real-time update. So you can see that from your home. You can have a monitor installed in your facility, maybe 2 different places, and people can see what actions are going on, how many picking tasks is there, how many packing tasks is there, how many high priority order you have that is picking. It can show you all the different operations the way you want it here, or it can even show you the users who are processing picking. Maybe you have 3 people doing picking, but only 1 person packing, but you have a higher load on your packet. You can, by looking at it, this real-time mashup, you can have some of the user move from your picking station to your packing station. The other thing is, if you have a smart connected conveyor carousel and they have a smart sensor, you can map it here to show how the sensors are behaving. Do you have a maintenance for them that this weekend somebody needs to come and bring down the conveyor to perform maintenance? If that's the case, and you know you have a high load here, you can maybe postpone that, and it allows you to go ahead and with your SLS. So all this is a capability there, and this can change based on how you envision to see. But one thing I'd like you to keep in mind, it's a real-time update. Every 5 seconds, it updates your task. As you all know, the warehouse functionality is very dynamic. It's keep on changing every day. So this will really help you to see what's going on, and you can monitor it from your home. You can have it running in your laptop in the office, or you can have it running in 3, 4 different monitors in your facility. Same thing, we are using another TeamWorks mashup to show you the exception. Do you have a high priority order that you have to ship it in couple hours and you haven't even reserved the inventory? Do you have an order that you don't even have an inventory to pick it up? Maybe inventory is still at the QA and you need the QA person to release. And by every facility, what's the total functions pending there? How many picking tasks you have? How many consolidation? How many replenishments you need to do in order to perform your picket? All that is at your finger point. You don't have to run a report. You don't even have to refresh your browser. It keeps on happening one after another. Just some of our vision. We are talking about inbound QA sampling. Typically, when you have a new supplier, you want to monitor what they ship it to you. And you want to see, like maybe sample every 10% of the item they are sending to you. You receive the item, typically it goes to your QA process. Somebody in the QA process needs to look at the different systems, see what are the QA needs to check for. Is the packaging good? Is the barcodes are readable? Whatever is there, he's going to look at that. And based on if everything is good, he's going to come back to move and try to release it or fail it. What we're doing here, again, taking advantage of TeamWorks IoT to show you everything in one snapshot. We can get the data, if you're in the retail business, from FlexPLM. If you're on a different manufacturing, maybe from another system. But TeamWorks can read the data, show you the item, what you have to look for, with the image of how the product should look like, and you can pass it or fail it based on the sample item you do. Maybe you want to sample 5, maybe you want to sample 10. And once you're done with your verification, you can send that information to move in the background. So with one place, you look at your QA, you process your QA, and you release or fail the inventory. So all this in one shot. Next, this is a new concept coming in, and we hear about it. Intelligent apparel management, especially in the retail industry. And we are seeing a trend that fashion institutes are going forward with this concept of IAM, and they are thinking toward end of 21 or 22, this is going to become a hot item. They're training everybody in this business how to think about it. This is not for big brands like Nike's or Adidas. If a new brand coming up, you want to go use FlexPLM to design your garment, know what items you need, and then send that information for an example, for a jean, I need 1 button, I need 1 zipper, and I need 1.2 yards of blue denim. You design that. That information through TeamWorks goes to move as well as your ERP system. Now, your ERP system is going to forecast how many I want to build and ship it to a retailer or a customer. Based on the forecast, it's going to send the information PO to supplier. Supplier is going to ship the item to you. You're going to receive it in your warehouse. And then your ERP system is going to send the order at the finished good level. It's going to say, I need 10 size 32 blue jeans. Now Move, because it already has an integration with FlexPLM, knows how to make that 10 jeans. It knows for 10 jeans, I need 10 buttons, I need 10 zippers, and 10 times 1.2 yards of a denim, which is 15 yards, I need to get. Now, the key factor here is you can pick easily 10 buttons. You can easily pick 10 zippers, but you're not going to have a picker to go cut 15 yards from a roll of 25-yard denim. The system needs to understand that I need to take this item, take it to a cutting machine, cut 15, return the remaining 10 back to the facility, and send everything together to a sewing machine to finally sew the jean or any other garment. So as you can see, all this is happening through IoT. The integration between Move and cutting machine, Move and sewing machine, these are smart cutting sewing machine. All the integration and talking is happening through IoT. And then finally, you're going to ship it to your retailer or customers. This is our vision. Again, we depending on the ThingWorx IoT, Mashup, all the PTC tools, to look at your ERP, to look at your FlexPLM, to look at your manufacturing, your packaging, your WMS, your store, bring everything together so everything is in your fingertip and you can see, you will have the holistic view of your entire operation. Automation. We were at the ProMat last year, and Modex this year is all robotics and automation, and how robotics can overcome your labor shortage. Think about it. Robots can work 24/7. They don't need to know about social distancing. So there's something else to think about. Then we also talked about hand-free picking. We talked about device, pick-to-light system, put-to-light system, hand-free picking using will collect voice. All this is all integration to us. Move has a standalone in configuration for all type of integration. You can talk to your warehouse control system or warehouse execution system. To us, it doesn't matter one way or another. It's just an integration layer, and we can configure what the vendor wants. We can configure it and tie it to the messages, because all the information is sitting in the Move system. Move knows what location I gotta go, what item I have to pick, and how many. Before I go to the next slide, Melissa, is there any questions?
Yeah, another question came in. It says, do you integrate with specific hardware vendors for automation?
No, we really dependent on the PLC. We're not, it doesn't matter if you're using vendor 1 or vendor 2, as long as they have a way of communicating through TCP/IP or web services, we can do the integration at no sweat. Thank you.
Thanks.
Some success stories. Yeah, COVID-19 hit everybody by surprise. And this one, really, I'm interested to. This is a major automotive manufacturer in Wuhan, China, where the pandemic hit first. And they shut down. They only had one person in their facility. And they came to us and said, we have lots of orders. We need to notify our dealers that they're not going to receive this part. And we need to reprocess them again. So we took advantage of Move flexibility. We talked about rules, method, process. We added a simple rule to say 1 equals do that's going to make the reserving inventory fail and create a short shipment. The ERP read the message, send it to the dealer that expected delay coming, and because it was short shipped, they could send it down again. And the other thing they said, this is tens and thousands of the orders. We don't want to sit there and run through the process manually. Is there an automated way of doing it? Yes, there is. We show them how they can automate the process, and that was it. In one shot, one night, they could short more than 30,000 order lines. Another COVID-19 story. A retail business in home furniture. Malls are closed, stores are closed, but what happened? Their online order volume increased. So now think about it. If I'm shipping somebody online, they typically buy in 1Z or 2Z. Average order line is 1.5 for online orders. But when I'm shipping to my store or branch, I'm shipping pallets. Actually, they didn't want to process anything in eaches or in piece picking for their stores. So they came to us and said, well, what can I do? I need to, I have the inventory, but I cannot process them. We easily gave them a pallet breakdown concept. They configured the system. In the afternoon, they were shipping eaches to their e-commerce business and satisfy their order. The next one is very interesting. If 6 months ago, you guys would ask us, can you support us a go live or new implementation remotely? I had more than 10 reasons to say no. But COVID-19, it is really kind of pushed us, as Jim said, how to do our job without interruption. So we kind of went from surviving mode to thriving mode. So what we did is set back, of course, quota goes for our team as well as the client, but we did unfeasible possible. And the reason we could do it, courage, commitment, and we knew we had a solid product. We knew the product is up and running and there wouldn't be a problem. We did 2 upgrades in 1 month. One 1st of May, the second one was the 3rd week of May. Think about a big tier 1 with the conveyor integration going live during this pandemic. Without any really problem or challenges. Okay, Melissa.
Thanks, Hassan. So yeah, I just want to mention that we did go to MODEX in Atlanta in March. So this was before the pandemic really, you know, we had things down in lockdown, things like that. So we did have a successful event there. This is an event that comes every other year, so that will come back in 2020. And then also we have ProMat, which is a related event. And this is on the odd year. So next year, 2021, we will be at ProMat in Chicago, Illinois, next April. So we already have our booth. So if you are in the Chicago area, this is a free conference. We would love for you to stop by our booth. We're S3375. And so this is a little ways out. So hopefully trade shows and everything will come back. We'll be able to travel again without any worry. But we hope to see you there. Also, we do keep events on our webpage. So if you want to visit our webpage, once you exit, it will take you there automatically if you want to bookmark it. We do have some other webinars that happen, so I do post everything and new content. If there's new white papers or case studies, I do keep our webpage up to date. So if there's any information that you're looking for to learn more or perhaps schedule a demo, please visit our website. But we did have a few more questions. So Hassan, yep.
This is Joe. Before we go to any more questions, I just want to kind of wrap up what Hassan was just talking about here. He gave us 3 really good examples here during the COVID crisis of ways that he and his team have been helping our customers to thrive, to be successful in a difficult environment. And as I mentioned earlier, what Jim talked about yesterday in the general session was to be a successful business in this environment, to really thrive, not just survive, but to thrive in this environment. He said there were 4 things, and we focused on the remote monitoring component in what we talked about today, but there were 3 other ones, as you may recall. One was around workforce mobility and resiliency, and this is an example where Hassan has, reprioritized what his team was working on and how they work to respond to specific customer needs. And I'm bringing that up because I'm sure that all of us, everybody who's on this call, is having to have to do the same thing. And he gave us 3 examples of how, he inserted the flexible and innovative ways of how we work with our customers and OEMs around the Move product. But everybody has those same challenges and same opportunities in front of them. And, those are 3 really good examples. I'm hopeful that you all have good examples like that, and Hassan and his team are happy to help you if you need any help to try to accomplish some of that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so some questions. What robotics do you guys support?
We integrate with the provider. We have talked to the locals and we have talked to the other people, but we're not specific to any type of robotics. We just need to be able to integrate with them.
Okay. And then any specific third-party vendors?
Any specific third-party vendors? For our manifesting solution, we do use a specific third-party vendor connection. The reason, actually, this is a good question. We talked about Move, but Move has a complementary product called WebShip. So if you are trying to ship to parcel carriers or LTL carriers, Move is tightly integrated with the WebShip that behind the scenes, it automatically prints your shipping label. You can put it on a bus and ship it out, or LTL carrier, put it on a pallet and ship it out. Any other questions?
Yeah, another question. Does your system support multiple languages? And if so, is it a user-based or install-based?
Oh, very good question. Yes. We have global deployment. We have the system running in Germany. We have the system running in China. And the language support is based on the user. In one facility, you can have a Chinese, Japanese, and English. It's by user.
Okay, and one more question. Are the dashboards configurable? For instance, high priority orders, can they be different from DC to DC?
Yes, it's actually running on a views from your database, so you can monitor, you can change it the way you want it to. It's easily configurable.
Excellent.